with 2410. That was the part I didn't agree with.
And further reason, I did go print it out because I wasn't a part of that. Didn't quite work the way that is spelled out. It's the way it should have worked out. It should have been done. It didn't follow those, the specifics as were written in there. And that kind of got me because that's not how it worked. I'd like to see a different resolution somewhat, but I'm not having a problem because we're going through this issue right now. But later on, something that's a little more true to what happened, but we may not even need that. And there's the part of it. We may not be at that point. But looking back, if you were to look, that's not what happened. And so I don't like having that on that's not what happened. So we can review that later, that's fine, but I think right now, what your purpose is still there. The underlying is still there. So I guess what I would say is, Mr. Chairman, I move to table it till January 2026.
Yeah, I mean, it's a resolution. It's not like,
It's not the law, but
Yeah,
it's not stating what.
Why not just rescind it today and then, if you need it, bring up a better formed one?
yeah, there is a motion on the floor, but
It's a good idea too. Or we could vote on rescinding it and bring up a better one. That's the thought. I just already put my motion in, though.
is there a second?
I'll second just so we for discussion.
I like the purpose of how everything's proceeding forward, and I especially like the fact that J.D. Williams and Ogden Driscoll are absolutely enforced behind it, and that's, I think, probably the people that need to be behind it to get it to move forward, and you folks showing up down there, of course, it all helps. I just, I don't know, I don't like the idea of creating, initially with my whole heartburn with the whole thing was creating these representatives on our own, and but go ahead, Mary.
That would be my question to you. And you've already stated that you thought this helped, but I think you already have the support of the board, not necessarily that piece of paper. And I'm not sure how many of the legislators have ever seen that paper. Right. So my question to you is, when you already have the support and this resolution is not necessarily correct, are you, would you fully understand why we would rescind it? And then if something else came to be, we'd be more than happy to do that. But sorry.
Go ahead.
Jeremy, I would ask you to not rescind this, to leave this, because this was where we didn't have a plan. Okay, this is how we're gonna get Article 3, Section 3, where we're in compliance with it. So this is just kind of where we started, and it's kind of developed its own pattern. So I'm guessing this is kind of where it all started, and then when we realized, oh, if we actually asked to be seated, so I'm asking that you not rescind this.
Actually, it started in 1992.
Right.
So the resolution that started way back when, that started this ball rolling. I understand what you're saying, that this is another step
Yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
but it was not what was done.
Right. Well, it is what's done. I mean, you guys did,
Not what's stated in there.
I guess I need to look at it real quick.
Yeah, you're.
No.
Okay, never mind. All right, sounds good.
No, I don't disagree with Marty. I think rescinding 2410 is going to be very confusing and poor optics.
That's fair enough. That's why we're asking.
Mhm.
Go ahead. Oh, so.
I agree with you. That's what I was just gonna say. I think this could be misconstrued. If we rescinded this, it could be misconstrued. It gets out to the press. It could cause a lot of complications for these people who've worked so hard and put a negative spin on it and make people question. I think that would be a bad thing. I don't have a problem with maybe doing a new one later, but I don't think right now is the time to do that.
You know, I'd be in favor of tabling this 25-2, just for 6 months, just to bring it up so it keeps it on our radar. But I'd like to see how this plays out in Cheyenne, if everything is recognized. And then if it goes through as it's moving forward, then we go ahead and rescind that resolution to clean the table up at the end, you know.
Will that put that past the December 25th, the date? If you could,
Yeah, let's put it in January.
oh, okay.
January 2025.
Yeah, that makes sense.
26 was my motion.
Yeah. That way, you know, then we're saying, then if, how the balls roll forward, if it moves forward, goes and passes, then we rescind that resolution to clean it up and get it off the table.
And we'll know better what
Correct.
resolution we want
Yeah.
after they meet with the,
But I mean, I like just keep it, bring it back up in January so we discuss it. Keep it on our minds so it don't fall through the cracks.
Oh, I don't think we'd let you do that.
But at least it'll make us remember to clean up the old resolution stuff.
Any other discussion?
Well, thank you.
All those in favor of tabling resolution 2025-2 until, for 6 months? Is that what you said?
You want to do it for the second meeting in January?
That would work.
Second meeting in January of 2026. Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
good work too, everybody.
Yes.
Wonderful day.
Oh, it's wonderful.
If we leave, they will.
Line item adjustment.
Okay,
So what's up with that?
this was not done as a resolution because we're not, taking this different account, we're just, so they, I guess, took these out of the wrong account.
That's fine. Thank you.
So they took the range accounts out of the annex account and it should have came out of the attorney account. And then they're wanting their, let's see, their printer to come out of the attorney line item instead of the annex because when the line item was created for the extension office, that split that, and so the attorney's office is the only one using the printer. So they'd like the 2040 to come out of the attorney account, given the annex additional funds, because right now we're in the hole. So you can look at this. I sent you guys all an email to look at. So it's an adjustment, line item adjustment versus a resolution taking it out of like the 30s account. It's within those two departments.
We're not changing our big budget, we're just moving,
Nope.
rearranging inside that one account.
Exactly.
Anybody like to do that? So,
So just an annex attorney budget department, but however you want to do
how
that.
to move forward with it, I guess.
Line item adjustment, annex attorney's office.
I'm not sure. Can you look up the? No, I don't know where it's at. This one might take.
Unless, I would, it's just an FYI,
Yeah.
you guys can,
My question is, do we need to actually have a motion that, or is it just for FYI for our information, you know?
I think you might look this one up because it's really strange what the state law says. One of them takes a public notice and one of them, it's okay if you have a resolution. And so it almost is opposite of what I think makes sense.
so I visited with Paul, you
Uh-huh.
just have to make a motion, because in the public meeting, you approved it the way that you already did. You just have to have a motion
letting us know that it's okay to go from the attorney to annex or vice versa. So it just has to be in a public meeting. I already visited with it.
Well,
It does not have to be in our.
right, but what I'm saying is, I think there's a statute that says when you do, I'd have to go look. But it's strange that if you do a line adjustment type thing, there was one that had to have public notice. I'd have to go look at that. But, Mr. Chairman, we are 3 steps away from our new budget. This isn't gonna change the world.
It is. The annex is in the hole and they have no money.
That is not, that's the annex's problem.
Not when we were only given $300 for the printer for the whole entire year.
That's an issue that you should have probably brought up.
We did,
Okay.
but they only allowed us $300 left over for the printer.
Can you explain the printer? Why are you paying $140 a month for a printer?
Because it's just ours right now, and then the trials we've gone through, I must have went through 10 to 20 reams of paper, and they charge us for black and white, and they charge us for colored prints. So one month it was $474.
So, is it a copier or a printer?
It's both. We
Okay,
copy-
you're paying a copy charge, which is, this is my opinion,
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous that you're paying a copy charge. That's like getting a warranty on a toaster.
Hmm. I think everybody did. Does everybody?
You should negotiate that out. You should always negotiate that out. Because you are paying for, it's ridiculous. Even, I've had this fight with even this kind of, when we have a copier. Buy the damn thing out, pardon my language. Buy the thing outright, and live with it. Paying a copy charge is ridiculous. It's I'm not kidding. It's a warranty on a toaster.
We'd have to look at the contract, right, Becky, to see if it's over with and we could do.
You have to talk to Michael. I don't.
Oh, I don't. I thought you could, sorry. We could do that, right? We could look at
You
it.
could look at it, yeah, it was set up a long time ago, so.
Yeah, since it was set up, and then we can readjust it. We could do that this week. Look at it.
I think that's appropriate to do that. I mean, go buy a printer. For what it's costing you for 12 months or whatever the copy charge is, or what you just said was $400 and some dollars.
Yeah.
Goodness be gracious.
That's when we have a trial, it's that much. When it's not, it's $165.60. But yeah.
You see
but
what I'm
we
saying?
Solve it.
Right, I mean, even if you went through cheap HP printers every 2 seconds, you'd be way ahead of paying for this. Actually, it's a Ponzi scheme. Pardon me, it really is ridiculous. And
Yeah,
it
we can
always-
look at that. If you
has been.
help me, Mike, pull it up and see the warranties, I can do some phone calls and see what we can do.
You have a warranty on the printer for a year. So that's mine. So that's just that comment on that one, but. You'd have to ask the other board members.
Well, what's the board want to do?
What was that amount?
$458.93 of the Annex Communications. And $2,040 into Annex Computer Software line.
Question for Becky. So Paul just said we just basically do an FYI.
So yeah, because you guys, when you do your vouchers, have already approved it to come out of a line item. And then if you make a motion for us to take it out of a different account, we'll use this motion and we can go in and make our adjustments.
Just a comment. I'm a little confused on what's happening, because this is different than what we talked about last week.
It's not, I have the email right in front of me from Brooke.
Yeah, we requested that money be sent from last year from the printer money be put in the county attorney line. If we just put that money in the annex now, we would be covered in 2040. Because, I mean, have we done the numbers and made sure that if we transfer this amount out of the attorney's budget, that it's gonna be there for the rest of the year anyway, so.
This place is full of love. You can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
Have we done the numbers and made sure that if we transfer this amount out of the attorney's budget, that it's gonna be there for the rest of the year anyway, so.
This isn't affecting next year's budget. This is making the adjustment.
Yeah, I'm talking
this
about,
year.
yeah. But we didn't have that money in the attorney's budget to begin with, that's what I'm saying, because it was put in the annex budget.
Okay, so you have 2 different,
I'm confused.
She's talking about next year fixing
yes.
the attorney's budget. We just need
Right.
2040 now to cover this year. Because of the printer costs that we, Marty probably brings up a good point that whatever, we're getting charged a lot for the printer, but we're at where we're at now and we can revisit that printer issue. Going forward, it's just the 2040 for the print, for the rest of the month, basically.
We are gonna have to pull this. This one is an adjustment, I mean, I thought she was wanting that out of the attorneys. Well, are you going to be, because you wanted that out of the office equipment?
Well, yeah, we were talking about that going forward, because that's what we asked for last budget cycle when we had that meeting. But the board chose to do it how it was done, and then we only had that $300 left over for the printer for the entire year.
why not type of resolution? It's gonna have to come out of- That 2040 is gonna have to come out of emergency.
And you're in the hole that on the current cost right now.
Yeah, $12.
On your computer, what are you looking at?
Sure.
16,4,101.
So what's the story with the 458?
And it's 125.
That'll be adjusted to the business and as attorney communication. So that one's good. This one will create a resolution.
Well, good lucky you.
So does this need to
Can I have a picture?
be?
Yeah.
Motion.
Yeah, well, that's up to you guys.
So I need one.
So this is the annex communication line. Are you guys the only ones using that? That's your phones in the attorney's office?
Range, we get a bill, and then the extension office gets their own bill, so we're separated on that. So we are the only ones using.
Why? Were they together at the beginning of the year? Like, was the billing together at the beginning of the
They
year?
were together at one point,
Or this fiscal
from what I
year?
understand, and then they split them, they got their own lines.
Who the,
The extension office for the phones?
that was for the printer.
Oh, you're talking about the printer, I'm sorry. I
Okay.
thought you meant the phones.
Yeah.
The budget of, at the request of the budget officer or upon its own motion after publication of notice, the governing body may by resolution transfer any unencumbered or unexpended appropriation balance or part thereof from one fund, department, or account to another. So I think that's what we have to do. Interfund phones. You see something?
So,
Yeah,
so we need to have Becky prepare a resolution to clean this up.
do it today? Is that what you're thinking?
That'll have to, it's gotta go on. The warrants. So it'll be in resolution 2025-15. And this will be.
I did have a question on that too, if I could, Chairman. I just, I don't know the history of why the annex is separate from the general courthouse. I don't know if it would make it easier if it was just one budget for everything, but that's just one thought I had. I'm not trying to get out of anything, I just thought it would, I don't know, if it'd be easier for, well, you guys probably know the history then. Okay.
Yeah, they've been separated since we bought the building.
You have to know how much it costs to run the annex, to
And that
see
was-
if it's worth having it.
Oh, okay.
And that was approved when we bought the annex. And the idea was that we would get to a point where the rent would pay for the use of that building, and we're not there yet. So we're still,
Okay, we're gonna make that look.
So in the future, we need to be more diligent about what's actually being paid. Is it the attorneys or is it the annex?
Yeah.
But that's not always necessarily our part. Make sure you put the right line item down.
Yeah.
Because we don't always check, because you initial it, so we assume that you have made the approval for it to come out of that line item. So we're not gonna, I mean, you think we're here a long time doing those vouchers. If we question every line item, there'll be a lot of us stepping off the roof.
So the phones in the printer were all shared, right, with the whole annex, and then they became separate? Am I understanding that right? Because they got their own printer and their own phone lines. Okay,
We got our own phone lines and they went back to their own printer.
okay. I just want to make sure.
Here's when the clerk combined, I think it was, settlers combined the printer and the phones and everything. And Alex went with different printer, different phone, and then we went back. So it shifted like 3 times.
If I think part of that was right, is
Privacy.
the annex wanted their own separate printers for security reasons.
We shared with
Privacy.
Extension, but we print criminal histories. and-
Right.
Yeah. it
There's
was
a
for
privacy issue.
Yeah.
Thinking back now.
So janitor supplies should stay with the annex, and maybe contract wages and miscellaneous, but like communications and software, that shouldn't really be applied to the annex, right?
Well,
The two-
probably technically not. Our whole purpose was that when we bought the building, there was a real resistance for moving anybody over. And the thought process is that we would rent enough and save enough rent with the extension office that would come back and we'd be net neutral. We may be beyond that now. We may never get to that point. So, I mean, that's a thought this board needs to contemplate.
We do need to keep the software line in the annex because that's what Golden West is.
Oh.
And they're doing everything in the annex for software. The firewall, all of that. And that's what the printer is currently being paid out of that, the same line as we pay Golden West. And that was the problem. They didn't separate that out. Because we are the only ones that use that printer. So we need to keep the software line where it is at $225 times 12 for the year. And then our printer line needs to be moved to the county attorney's office. You know, whatever, however you guys decide to make that one, but.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
that doesn't make sense. But again, I would have that conversation about that printer.
I heard that earlier, so.
Thank you.
And then the internet used out of the annex line should stay that way because we are all using the same internet. Other than the rented offices who provide their own. But us and Extension share range. No, Visionary.
Yeah.
And then we have range for phone. Just a lot, but
Well, it was a step for us to take, to buy that building, you know. The whole purpose was,
and you've had the differences of
right.
3 different county attorneys now since then. And, you know, Alex used internet phone lines and he did the Marco printer. And then Mike, he cut back on everything. And so we got rid of the phone lines, had a different phone system that was significantly cheaper, but then the one didn't work as well. So then we went back to the original phone lines, which are the same as up here, the same phone system. So a lot of back and forth. But we can look into the printer. And just get quotes and bring it to the board, and, because we're not gonna have money to buy one, but we can bring it to you guys for that.
Bring it to us.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll try to do it before next year. So we have an idea of what needs to go on our printer line for next year.
Just go get a quote. Find out what it costs you outright.
Okay.
Find out what, you don't need the maintenance contract, that drives me insane, that's what it is. Find out what it costs to have them come and fix it if there's something wrong. But you do have a year warranty. But copy charges, sorry, I will be on that bandwagon for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's like Kmart calling me and going, you bought an electric knife, you want a warranty?
I think we had top office before we had marked out, so we can check a couple of places. Bring it to you guys for whatever you want to do.
So the thought when buying the annex was we were gonna pay for it by rents.
The rent we saved for the extension. The rent we were saving because the attorney's office was not in the building. I mean, it was with William. He put it in this building. But then there wanted to be an expansion out of the building. So that was the savings of that attorney's office issue. And then rent some of that because it was too big. And you remember the renting Focus and some other, interesting tenants. But that was the purpose of it, is that we could be a more or less net neutral building.
And where do we sit on that?
Oh, long from that probably.
Yeah.
It's government, is what government is.
We have New York and Stephanie.
So like now, it's the two offices that you rent and the savings that we're not paying for rent for extension office like we used to before they were in there.
I would, it was about $19,000 or something like that. That's a figure I'm just scraping off the top of my head.
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
I would, it was about $19,000 or something like that. That's a figure I'm just scraping off the top of my head for the rent of. And then we were starting to get dinged with cleaning the sidewalks, cleaning the parking lot, and getting a portion of that. And then there was starting to be a portion of, the roof is leaking, so we'd get a portion of that. And it was starting to build to a point that got a little silly. And so we had an opportunity. It was a good opportunity. We took it.
And I don't know if you guys remember this, but you made us be under everybody else's rent, so we didn't want to take away from rental spaces. So, and I don't think that price has changed. I think it actually went down. I think you guys gave more of a cut for renting for them being nonprofit, and that helped, I think, because you gave them less money, but then knocked some off rent, if I remember right.
That was a consideration.
So, we have a resolution now.
Now you want to use
2025-13? Yes, Spirit.
I will make a motion to move $2,040 from the general emergency relief and add it to the general annex computer software, and move $458.93 from the general attorney communication and move it to general annex communication.
We're taking the money from the county attorney communication line and putting it back in the annex line? Yes.
Second.
The motion properly seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oh, no, sorry, guys. Just grumpy about these. But I appreciate the comments that you made so that I understood.
No sign?
No. Thank you for asking. And that's why we have to have those discussions, so I appreciate you coming in.
Open burning restrictions, stage 1.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Resolution 2514, due to potentially severe to extreme fire situation exists throughout Weston County. The recommendation of the county fire warden would make close via statute certain situations like fireworks, discharge of fireworks, exploding target devices, and outdoor fires are prohibited in unimproved areas of Weston County except as provided below. And this was taken effect July 7th of 2025. I don't know if you guys want me to read off the exceptions or. Only campfires at residences or developed recreation sites within a fire ring centered within a minimum of 15 feet clear radius of burnable material and a shovel of fire suppression means are present at the site are permitted. Trash and refuse fires between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. inside containers provided with a spark arrestor centered within a minimum of 15 feet cleared radius of burnable materials and a shovel and fire suppression present. Charcoal fires within enclosed drills centered within a minimum of 15 feet cleared radius of burnable materials with shovel and fire suppression present. The settling, cutting, electric arc welders, and metal grinding centered within a minimum of 15 feet cleared radius with shovel and fire suppression. And the use of portable stoves, lantern, jelly petroleum, pressurized liquid fuel, or fully enclosed stove, and open fire grinding activities centered within a minimum of 15 feet. Again, with shovel and fire suppression present. Beginning to take effect July 7th, 2025. That's good.
And until further notice, beginning
So, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve the chairman's signature on resolution 2025-14, stage 1, open burning restriction.
second.
Motion properly seconded. Any discussion? Yes, Mark.
This one's a little more lenient than the total serious ban that we usually have, so I hope that's understood that this is somewhat more lenient than some of them that we've had in prior years. Fireworks are always an issue around here, so I hope that we will have it rescinded before January 1st, because that seems to be a fun time for people too. But I want everybody also to understand this happens after fireworks.
Yeah.
So we're not restricting right now, it's after the fireworks. So just want to get that out, because I think a lot of people, well, why can't we shoot fireworks? This is after. So take caution, be aware of what's going on, be careful, please. Because we will be careful.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Chairman's signature on grant agreement between Wyoming Department of Health, Public Health Division of Weston County.
Good morning. So this is that FEP grant that'll start July 1. Nothing has changed on the grant from that amendment that you guys signed last month. With the caveat, so they have given us $94,000 this year. Usually it's $91,000, so that's great. However, with all the changes, CDC has only given them 75% of the total funding. And so we're asking you to sign this today, and they have asked all the counties that all of our money that's gonna be allocated will just be for salary and benefits, okay? The CDC does think that we will get a total 94,000, but right now, their main goal is to support the workforce and make sure that our PHRCs have their job. So, they will do amendment later if they want to, but a lot of the counties have just asked for a specific letter, and it's at the Attorney General's office right now, so we do not have it. It should be coming next week, and I can send that to you guys. But right now, we will only be using this money for salary and benefits. So if we do not get the total 94,000, what that means for the county is that we'll just have to come up with an extra $3,000 to pay for bills that we would have bills anyways. But we have been fortunate enough to take that $3,000 out of this grant to help supplement like our computer costs, our phone costs, different things like that. So that's where we stand with this grant. Do you guys have questions?
75% of the 94,000 is what they're funding?
So right now, it'll support Mandy's salary and benefits. And we've been told no travel, no extras. So usually that extra money we use to support costs like phones. It's an extra $3,000 that has been given to the county every year that we can use to offset the general fund costs.
So if it comes through and it stays at the 75, then you're gonna come back to the county to ask for that backfill. Is that correct?
Potentially, I've been working really hard with working my numbers and coming under budget this year. So, we're just gonna work as hard as we can. The thing about it is if these bills are bills that we would have anyways, we've just been using this grant to offset some of those costs.
About 23.5.
Yes, I don't like
What's the odds that we have to come up with 23,000?
We won't have to come up with 23,000. So what I'm saying is, what we're signing today is that would cover Mandy's salary and benefits. Okay? The extra $3,000 is what I use out of that grant to pay for phone, computers, stuff like that. And that's not an extra bill that we have because of Mandy's position. That's just bills on our office that we use to supplement. So it's not gonna cost the county any money. If this grant were to go away, you're still gonna have the extra $3,000 because I still have to have phone and internet.
fully understand that. But if it's only gonna be granted 75% of,
It would cover Mandy's salary.
the
and benefits.
75% would cover.
She's covered.
And then you wouldn't, I guess what you're saying is the remaining expenses you wouldn't incur
Of 23,000.
of 23,000.
Yeah. Yeah, she's completely covered. The only difference is if we don't get the total funding, is that $3,000 we're just gonna have to come up with, which if, with this grant or without this grant, public health would have that $3,000. We've just been using this grant to help supplement, offset some costs for the county this entire time.
Right,
That makes more sense.
yeah, and that's happened a few times with other grants. That's kind of what county got in trouble for.
And they've been working hard at this state, like they have 3 positions that they're not gonna fill, so they can keep, each county have their PHRC, so no one loses their job, so they're doing what they can at the state level to keep the counties have their positions.
But this is a federal pass-through, right?
I move to approve chairman's signature on grant agreement between Wyoming Department of Health and Public Health Division and Weston County.
Second. finding that I was getting caught up on that.
Yeah, in the long run, this grant actually helps our county because it brings in an extra person to live here. And then also it does offset some of our costs that we normally wouldn't have money for that have to come out of general.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
None. You're on here too, Michael.
He always is.
Stick around and sign this baby, please.
I remember that, you made me something good. Thank you. Also need the signature page.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks for
very
being
much.
patient, too.
Thank you, guys.
Conflict of interest form.
Okay, so I forgot to send it to you guys, so I typed it up just like that one that Marty did to reflect Weston County. I know.
Your brow furrowed, so let's hear it.
Yeah. Do we need to list banks on there too?
Where did you do that?
I
That's
know,
on the
that's what I
disclosure
was-
statement that you guys wanted to sign and then give back to me at the first meeting or whenever I gave it to you. Marty's the only one that gave it back to me.
I was waiting for this.
Whatever.
But this would work for her, wouldn't it? I mean,
No, it's a separate state law.
You brought it.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
I'll give you all a new one.
I don't want anyone to.
Did you keep
Is that
that?
right here?
No, I gave you a copy.
Yeah, it's that on
In your
the
folder.
tables.
I'll get you that.
Oh, you did.
He just said he doesn't think I did.
'Cause I would've
That's
filled
where
it
I
out
found
that day.
mine. That's where I found mine. It was sitting right here.
Yes, I did.
That's how I did mine.
I would've filled it out that day. I would've thought.
One cannot know what walks around in the space between your ears.
Cotton
Very
candy.
true.
Cotton candy like SpongeBob.
Probably.
But it was sitting right here.
Maybe she got the only one.
Could be. I will not
She got
deny
the
that.
original.
Maybe that's the truth. I cannot confirm or deny that.
Me either.
But we weren't to share it. I know that.
Yeah, I've done it every other year. I don't remember seeing it.
Look in your drawer. It's probably in there.
You probably put it in there.
No.
She'll put it in there tonight.
Let's see if it's
after
in
we
there.
leave. Oh, I found it in your drawer.
I don't know, it could be one of these.
Very likely.
Who knows?
Could have had lost in the shuffle.
Put it in your truck. One box. You one of those people?
Usually my keepers go in there.
The only thing I would take out is the employee, because it's just for us.
I wonder that, but then do we need to give them?
That's what, I mean, I don't know if you tell the employee, if, you know, we have that, you know, tell us all the boards you sit on. I don't know if we have that ability to ask anybody, you know, what church you're affiliated. I know we can't ask
There
that.
are employees.
Yeah, but there's certain things you can't ask.
Because it says in the handbook already that if you have a job that is a conflict of interest to this job and it interferes, so I didn't know, because there are employees who serve on boards, county boards. I didn't know.
Yeah, that would be, and the other one did have that, and that was my kind of my.
And that one that you gave us
Says that, that's what I mean.
So I
That would be
did
my own.
exactly like that one.
Otherwise, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't know where you go with the employee thing. And maybe you leave it in there and you can use it at some point. I don't know. I mean, it's not conclusive.
What does this say? It says employee, I didn't read that part.
It just says the employee or board
Board member.
member, and then all through it, it says employee or board member.
Well, I mean, what if Becky's mother owned a stationery business, or not Becky's mother, but you would go in there and buying things, I mean, would that be declaring a conflict of interest?
Only
Well, if you're going
my
like,
employee works there.
So I think,
Owned it.
I think you would want to leave it in there for employees.
Sure.
I think that'd be good.
Did you look it over, Michael?
I don't think I've seen that yet.
Is your speed rating good? How about you? Do you want to read it?
She probably has better ideas than I do.
I think it's a good start and get it out to
I do
the
too. Then it's done.
different library board or fair board, whoever else.
Yeah, I think all boards should have it. But I also, Mr. Chairman, think that there should be a deadline that we get it. 'Cause
Yeah, I agree.
we do this all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, how many evaluations have we seen come across? Or statement that they have happened? Well, good.
So with that in mind, what kind of time frame would you want to establish to,
Mr. Chairman, I would say at least by the end of July, that'll be our new fiscal year. Get them in here, and we're dealing on that year's budget with those ideas, and they can be amended. If somebody says, I just got put on this, or.
yeah,
So a lot of the boards will have someone reappointed by the end of July. Their
Right.
term
That's what I
terms
mean.
are January and July.
Yeah, so, I mean, wouldn't they appoint them within the month of July?
End of July is when
End
their
of?
term ends.
We'll make it August 1st and January 1st. Or as the board is seated, or as the person is seated. Part of their board packet is you get one.
yeah, maybe that'd be good.
And it has to be turned back into the board. You can fill it out. And sit. Get sworn in. There you go. There.
Do we need to, yeah.
So you want this to every board out there in the county?
That's what all board.
Like from Mallow to Leading Pest to Courthouse to the airport?
Yeah. Do we need to,
Mr. Chairman, I would say that we probably do need to have some type of a motion to establish that we are having it, what the deadline is for it to be returned to us. Those type of, it might be, have to be a well thought out motion.
Yeah,
Return it in a timely fashion.
Time, that doesn't mean anything to anybody.
so let's just, you got a month to get it by what is the first meeting in, is it the 1st, July?
Establish that form.
Someone, work with me as I make this motion. Is that okay? Okay, just work with me as I make
Marty, take Brad.
That's what I'm saying.
Put a date, and then underneath that, within 1 month of being, or 2 months,
Being sworn in.
being appointed.
Appointed.
That would give you that time frame for the boards that are opposite, you know.
But those dates are also August 1st, January 1st, or within 30 days of being appointed. Who does it go to? Us, right? Okay, what do we call that? Conflict of interest? So I move to approve the Weston County Conflict of Interest form, which will be filled out by employees and all boards of Weston, all county boards of Weston County, due August 1st and January 1st, and or within 30 days of being appointed to the board. So I don't think I put it in employees and board members. Read it back. That's what you're supposed to do.
You move to appoint Weston County, or move to approve Weston County Conflict of Interest form, which will be filled out by all employees and Weston County boards of Weston County due by January and August 1st or within 30 days of appointment.
So my question when we were forming this, are they county-wide boards? So county appointed boards, county elected boards? So all county boards? Anything that has to do with county budget? How do
So
we?
you probably want to have it for the fire district review
Sunset.
test. It's just boards
Right.
appointed by Weston
There
County.
you go,
So
that's what I want.
put.
That's what I want. Yes, appointed boards.
Boards appointed by Weston County Board of Commissioners.
So is there any confusion in that we're not designating, like, am I gonna have to fill it out every August and every January?
Yes.
Because things change. But could I ask maybe about a friendly amendment? I think we should add elected officials also.
Yeah, well, it doesn't say like anything about elected officials.
No,
Would you like to amend it?
I will accept her.
Okay. And would you like to second it? Is that okay? Discussion, okay. So everybody in the county now, that's every 2 times a year, we're gonna fill this out. Okay. Now, who are we putting in charge of remembering that?
Looks like you, sir.
Everyone looking at me. I'll keep a chart.
Put it on your calendar?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I like the layer of protection of interest that we're saying, hey, this could be, also what it's doing, looking at the language, it's asking for overview and enforcement also on our end. So it means that we didn't have it before, so it could be filled out, and then that's another avenue that we're going to have to consider as commissioners when your vouchers coming through, things like that, to oversee that and enforce that.
Well, it'll help my office too, so that we're not having to flag, okay, you check this please, you check this please,
Right.
please be watching this.
So the way I take this word, all your appointed boards are gonna have to fill this form out twice a year.
That's a good point. But what she was stating, I guess what you could put in there is that you,
Annually,
but
that would go from your appointed date. Annually from your appointed date. That way, the ones that get applied in July, they know annually in July, they have to do it.
so if I'm having an issue with that, well, I got appointed and I filled somebody's and it was in September, so I don't have to fill in September.
When you got appointed. Did you ever have that word in there when you were appointed?
You know, I don't mind you simplifying it. Except simple. It's a kiss of death. It's a kiss of death.
Are there any board appointments that end mid-year? They're all,
No,
Okay.
it's always January and July, except so like if you decide you're done in April, so that person will fill your vacancy until your term is up in July or whatever, and then theirs starts July for like 4 years or whatever. It shows your appointment date was in April, but you're filling that term. Even if it's a 4-year term and you had 2 years left, that person's only filling your 2-year term that's left.
which would be filled out at that moment, the successor.
So somewhere in there, put there that the certificate is good for 1 year. That would cover your, when you were appointed. Will be done. Yeah, nothing to
Read it.
That good for 1 year has to be part of the motion. Because I have, we've already moved to approve the Weston County conflict of interest form, which will be filled out by all employees, elected officials, Weston County boards appointed by the Weston County Board of Commissioners due by January and August 1st or within 30 days of appointment. And then in the discussion is where I have the certificate is good for 1 year, chart tracked by clerk's office.
How about appointed boards employees? Or would they fall under that board? How about appointed boards employees? Or would they fall under that board?
Mr. Chairman, I would say that you would, if this was your board and you wanted your employees to do that, it's up to them. You're the ones that do the fiscal approving of the
I just
budget.
wondered, you know, so there's some boards have employees under them.
I would,
I just had a question, what happens if they don't do it?
Probably nothing other than Michael, or Paul might ding us on his report or his audit.
I mean, I just didn't know if you guys thought of any enforcement mechanisms.
I would think on that motion, probably that certification of that would last until that calendar year. That way you're not getting a bunch of things. You got a resignation in one board, and then you've got a year added to September, and that's gonna last till that September. If it was the remainder of that calendar year, you could kind of keep gathering that up.
it's a way of doing it.
Right.
So should I add a spot on there that they're refusing to do it? And then that way you guys know if vouchers come through from that office that you need to be watching for that? Because he just said, what if they refuse to do it? So then we need to have a spot that they're refusing to fill that out so that you can if there are some that refuse. The whole point is so that you know Marty
I have a
owns
store.
and you know that she's not gonna be signing up, or so-and-so has a spouse who owns this store, and you need to make sure they're not buying all of their supplies from that store.
Or any of those other that.
Right.
When you get a monetary, benefit from this board, and you're on another board, that you're not voting for the sake of that
Right.
board.
You're not giving them
Right.
thousands more or whatever.
Mr. Chairman, I think at some point, I mean, we're going off the recommendations of Paul, and we're trying to get like this perfect thing put in place on the front side without even a lot of experience in it. At some point, we're probably gonna have to take a little of that in stride on, you know, the denial of signature on it or something like that. We can deal with that at that moment.
Yeah.
Lord, no?
Well, just to further complicate things, because, perhaps we can put on that statement, and maybe it says on that, I didn't quite fully read it, that you would refrain from those type of issues, that when you sign it, what you're stating is, I will refrain from voting when it comes to funds or something to that effect. You see what I'm saying? And maybe that way the thing that you can come back on is going, did you not vote? Because you're not supposed to vote. I mean, we're not asking you to remove yourself from the board, we don't want you to have undue influence in some way. And I think that's what Paul's saying. Quit throwing things around, Emily.
Sorry. Phone's gonna die.
So, yeah, it doesn't say that. Maybe that's what, we should add that sentence in there. We expect you to refrain from, voting or whatever when there is a conflict of interest.
What do you think, Michael?
I mean, yeah, it's not, doesn't hurt to have that in there, I just don't know how what you're gonna do to enforce it, it doesn't hurt. But I guess it puts you guys on notice again, like Becky pointed out, that to avoid your dings, you have that flag to have that extra layer of protection, so.
Well, it says here, please describe below any relationship, transactions, positions you hold, or circumstances that you believe can contribute to a conflict of interest. So, like, then you have 3 lines, where you could put, I own AdPro, will not sign vouchers. I mean, you write out
We could state
what.
it. We could state, that's a good idea.
Yeah, you write out what your conflict is and how you're going to not
Avoid it.
move forward. with
Avoid it.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or like Garrett, I'm on the airport board, I will not vote on anything that pertains to the airport board.
I think that's great, because you're not laying it in stone, you're just asking where their conflict is and how they
Right.
choose to handle that conflict.
Yeah.
That's a great way.
So maybe that should be put here somewhere that says, please describe how you will avoid any
Look, that-
conflict.
It does though.
that. It says, I have the following conflict of interest to report, and then you put it there.
But what's stopping somebody from just writing AdPro?
Well, then we can ask them to explain it better. If they give it to you and it's very vague, you can say, please, but it says, please specify.
They're nonprofit.
And in
or
the
for-
email, when I send it out, because I'll just email it to them, and I'll just say, please explain how.
Well, all the boards are supposed to be doing training too, so this should just become part of their training. And when you get into other members, once we start, at first it might be a little bit shaky, but I think once it gets going, it'll just naturally be part of it.
Any other discussion?
Or we can also have machine vote, we'll just put it up there and say you don't sign it.
That's good.
Just read down through that one more time.
A motion?
Yeah, please.
Marty moved to approve the Weston County Conflict of Interest form, which will be filled out by all employees, elected officials, Weston County boards appointed by the Weston County Board of Commissioners due by January or August 1st or within 30 days of appointment. True.
We didn't
See, I was just
I
thinking
heard you
about
out of
this.
my ear, but
Is like handing it to our solid waste board members. We don't, them board doesn't spend county money. That's, I mean, I think we're kind of overstepping some bounds here. This should be for us as county officials and county employees only. That should be up to that board. If they want to have a forum like that for their, that they can disclose to their board members. See where I'm going with that?
Well, I agree with you, but I also think that boards that are underneath of the county, so your library board, your Mallow board, your fairgrounds, should have that designation. So if we put that,
Boards that receive county funding.
not appointed by the Board of County Commissioners.
I think
Boards
that,
that receive county funding, I think that, because like, I'm doing like solid waste board, we don't receive county funding.
but you receive a mill levy.
Yes,
So define county funding.
the funds that come, the vouchers are signed by this board.
So are mentioned in the county's budget. Maybe that's the way you word it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it, but I can see, you know, something coming up there.
I do see Ed's point on that one, although we were the ones that were in direct communication with Paul, the auditor.
Yep.
And in response to his suggestions, we're showing interest in this area.
I suppose you could throw it out there, I mean, if somebody on solid waste doesn't want to fill it out, they,
I mean, to me, it wouldn't be a problem, say, hey, the county's auditor recommended that all boards do this, and I don't see a problem with it. You know. I do run with it, see what, if we have issues, then we deal with them.
so,
Believe it.
is everybody okay with the motion as it was read? Okay. All those in favor of the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? All right.
Good discussion.
Communications Joint Power Board, City of Newcastle and Weston County, MOU. You got anything, Mario?
Yeah, the Joint Powers Board meets tomorrow. I was talking to the chairman. I was gonna appear and see what we need to do to get the terms worked out.
Okay.
So I forgot that they didn't meet till tomorrow instead of, it's usually the Wednesday before, I thought.
Okay.
But it should be on the next agenda, so I'll have that chance to meet with them tomorrow. I think they meet at 4:30 or something like that.
Okay.
That's when they usually meet.
And then did you have anything on that LGLP deal, that pilot program?
Not yet, no.
Okay. That was the one where we gave you the go-ahead to, was it $3,000 or something like that?
$300.
$300. Okay. Sorry. It's been a day or two. Animal funds, new business.
So they sent us an application to see if we want to accept the funds for this year. And you guys can either say yes, you want the money for this year, or no, you do not. And I'm not sure how much was it this year.
$4,895. I would say yes. put it to good use with what Christie's doing. We accept it. What do they do with it if you don't accept it?
Goes back to
Goes
the
back, I
pool.
think. And it probably just goes back into a pool and then it's going to another county. But
We're saved for another time.
We'll give it up next year for everybody.
We're gonna use the state funding for it.
Fall asleep, Riley?
Just a little.
it's so exciting.
Why are you not reading it? What's going on?
Same thing as last year.
It's the
Same
same
line.
Same story, different money. Well, this is only to one county commissioner, so have we all been reading this?
I make a motion to accept the gambling funds for, is it the year 2025?
Second.
Second.
A motion to accept the 2025 gambling funds in state. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could add on there the amount, if you would read it out.
$4,895.71.
That's 71 cents gonna change the world right there.
This funding also includes unclaimed funding from state fiscal year '24. So maybe it does just roll over.
So that must be from the prior counties.
Any discussion?
So, Mr. Chairman, does this just go into a line item and we award it some other time?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing with it.
And it rolls over to the next fiscal year. The first year, the newsletter journal got it. This year, Christy is working with it.
This is just my opinion. But do we ever see results from these types of things? It's kind of like that. I just never understand what we're getting from it. And I know it's pass-through money, but
In regards to the benefit that how it's being
do
spent.
we see how it's being spent? Do we see, I mean, no offense and nobody has to answer, but how many bathrooms have you walked into and seen the sticker on the stall door? We see, I mean, no offense and nobody has to answer, but how many bathrooms have you walked into and seen the sticker on the stall door?
I know, like with the newsletter journal, I would see he was running the ads, and Christy's not here, but when she came in, she was on the TV. She designated what she was going to do with the funding. Christy, you on by chance?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm on my cell phone still. So we actually have a subcommittee put together. We just need to identify which commissioner is going to be on that subcommittee, so we can, establish a meeting date and kind of get things rolling. I have a few things already on the agenda to talk to, to bring forth to the subcommittee. There's a training coming up in September in Buffalo that the Wyoming Problem Gambling Council is putting on, and a few other things. So we haven't actually done anything yet. But the idea is that once we kind of get things rolling, then on a quarterly basis, or if you guys want it monthly, I could do that as well, that we would come to you and give you a rundown of prior to, like, as we get started, like, this is the plan, this is what it will look like. My goal would be that would be for a year in advance anyway. Like, we would have a strategic plan basically of what we would be spending that money on. Realizing that sometimes things do happen and that would need to change. But then, so we would come to you with that, and then on a quarterly basis, a report of what's been spent, and then what our metrics are to measure that as far as an evaluation goes.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and if there's something that you want specifically, there's no problem in us doing that. I mean, both of the grants that the coalition is involved in both have different like reporting and evaluation requirements, and so it wouldn't be difficult to adjust to whatever you guys would like to see.
I have no doubt that you'll find good use for it, Christie. I think that it's money that you guys can use appropriately. So as far as like a county commissioner as a board member, well, got a motion on the floor. Any other discussion on the motion on the table? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, down that line of a county commissioner helping with this kind of stuff, Christie, do you, like, what do you want to pick one of us? Do you want us to pick one of us? Do you?
I would say that in whoever I guess has a genuine interest maybe in being involved, or an interest in the issue, and just in our coalition work in general, I think it would be very beneficial to have that representation, and not even maybe necessarily as a voice. I know that was a concern for some of the board about actually being involved, but just to be a part of the conversation, even from a listening perspective, and just to be kind of there as another set of ears, eyes, and voice. So I don't have I guess a pick, if you want to say, but I think whoever would have an interest in being involved and seeing what happens in our communities with the things that the coalition does.
I think we just established that they would not be a voting member.
I would be willing to do it unless somebody else wants to. I just know.
Great, volunteer, good job.
As long as I can zoom in sometimes instead of actually attending. My issue would be with life getting in the way. How often you guys meet?
I'm sorry, I'm having a really hard time hearing all of you guys. Like, it's really garbly. So I think you asked how often we meet, and the problem gambling subcommittee will meet on a quarterly basis. We haven't set that up yet. The coalition meets monthly, with the exception of December, and then we don't meet in June and July.
Is anybody else interested in doing it? I mean, I
think Nate would be a perfect person for it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pitch my hat in the ring.
Thank you.
No.
I was thinking Christie.
So Christie, I guess you're just gonna have to let me know. Email me, I guess, or whatever.
Okay. I could certainly do that.
And do you allow zooming in to your meetings sometimes?
We do,
Okay.
yep, we absolutely do. And we also will be I'm getting ready to start sending out our quarterly newsletters and from the coalition, and so you all will receive that as well, which will have all of that information. But yeah, I'll just make sure that you all should be getting invites to our coalition meetings as is, but I'll make sure that I include that and specifically let you know. And yep, Zoom is always an option, so.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. Now the board bill.
So you guys had given them permission to, do the space heaters in the lodge. And I think it was $7,000 that you said that they could spend,
Ductwork.
or ductwork.
Ductwork,
For
yeah.
the space
For
heaters.
future, for
Yes.
future.
Well, this is an invoice for $9,000.
Fill me in, what's a ductwork for?
For heating the other parts of the lodge that are not heated, since it was all opened up with the.
Oh,
water damage,
after the flood.
They went ahead and just we give them the authority to go ahead and put the ductwork in. That way, since the walls are open, it would save money down the road if they ever decide to heat it all. The ductwork is in place. It wasn't a furnace, it was just the ductwork, if I remember right.
So the lodge could be open year round is what they were wanting.
Because they could spend, they felt like they could make quite a bit more money if they could stay open a little later and earlier.
With all due respect, if it costs $1,100 to heat and do the event center, my goodness gracious, what would that? Unbelievable.
So out of curiosity,
Unbelievable.
why is this billed as Serve Pro?
Didn't we discuss that they were going to get some local contractors to pick up?
And it's really weird. It's like 51 hours and the whole thing is weird to me. That's why you guys are looking at it.
It's 110 times 55.
Well, Mr. Chairman, too, climate control storage? I mean, could we put ductwork down?
6,050. Did you say 110 times 55?
Yeah, so it's pretty close. It's 110.5.
I'm gonna need a little more information.
I thought we said 7,000. Isn't that right? That was not over.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Because they had a bid from a local contractor to do it for 7,000.
I want you to get somebody to come in.
Okay.
If you would, please.
And I'll find that then.
Yeah. Public comment. Commissioner comment. Marty, you have anything?
Sure. Thanks for asking.
You bet.
Hey, in doing so, looking at those easements, I just want to put it out there that it'd be wonderful to have an update of this thing. I think it's important, I also think it's important, like the little schematic I gave you of us all having one of these. This is an incredibly valuable tool, as you can see. I have used it a couple times. I think it's important for all of us to understand where, what, where, and why. So if we could allocate in our budget, that we get somebody to, I mean, Becky in her day, along with Fran, did a lot of work. And I'd like to see this updated.
That's just one book, one road, right?
This is the road.
But that's road.
I know, you guys just put this dumb cover on there? I have no idea why you guys did it. You did it. For crying out loud, don't be blaming me. But it's all of them. And even if we just made a copy, and, I mean, there's been some updates that shouldn't be that hard to do. We've also had the RIP, which is not in here, so the, bless you. So the RIP would be nice to have this updated with that, and to consider the RIP again.
I think with Brooke working, well, I don't know if they could now in Michael's office, that we could move forward with that.
Just, this is invaluable.
I have a, I think maybe we'll get an updated one in my office.
And Mr. Chairman, am I allowed to? Thank you. I also think that I'd like to have a workshop, after our budget workshop, but considering the county road. We got books sitting back here that are just sitting there, and I'm not sure, that manual is really hard to get through, but I think we need to have a conversation of how that works, how the money is. And so we have a general understanding of how the county road, and we do it correctly, the county road construction and maintenance fund. And include Jimmy and Mark. We can set that at another time, but I'd like to bring it up because very important. I would like the public to understand what that pool of money is, where it comes from, how we get to spend it. It's just not off the hip, and why we do these silly little forms. Just have a workshop.
I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Here.
Today.
Here.
We got a lot of things coming up here in the next couple weeks with a celebration of our independence. We got an all-school reunion that's going to be going on here in Newcastle, and just encouraging everyone to have fun, be safe. Even though our fire burn doesn't go into effect on July 7th, doesn't mean that the fire, the grasses get dry on the 7th. You know, it's going to be drying out up until then. So a lot of the suggestions and precautionaries that are mentioned in the fire burn starting the 7th are good to adhere to even before that.
Good point.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, Gillette testified in front of the Revenue Committee. And if anybody was paid attention to what came out of that, but the Revenue Committee recommended LSO to pursue 3 different bills. One of the bills would be to remove the sunset date on long-term homeowners exemption, which is supposed to sunset next year. They want to remove that. The other one is they want to run a bill to remove the 8 months that you have to live in a house in Wyoming to say it's a residence. They just want to, if you own a house in Wyoming, it's a residence, you just take all the tax brackets if you don't even live there. And the third one, which is really off the wall, they want to basically remove all of Article 15, which is property tax, and they have no idea how to backfill it. So that was what came out of Revenue Committee the day I was up there. Yeah.
How anybody keeps their jaw connected to the other part of the jaw.
And it was voted 13 or 11 to 3 is how unanimous they voted all these bills to have LSO pursue these bills. All I got.
I don't have anything. I guess. That's off the top of my head right now. Can you invite Ricky down for this next deal? Courthouse.
Miss that.
No, not really. It's just to let you guys create a 30,000 foot view of what's a conversation that is had in private with the judge and some other people. So, you a motion to go into executive session, 16.445A XII.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor, please say aye.